What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports, back again with another one. WBO welterweight champion Terrence Bud Crawford and WBC junior welterweight champion JBsports, aka Rougarou, are two peas in a pod. Both fighters have no network behind them. In the case of Terrence Crawford, he don't even have a promoter behind him, as he severed ties with Bob Arum, CEO of Top Rank Boxing. He had a deal, an exclusive deal for his fights to be shown on ESPN. That is no longer the case for Bud Crawford. JBsports is promoted by Probellum, which is run by Richard Schaefer. He has no network deal. His last fight, when he captured the WBC junior welterweight title, was on Marv Nation, was promoted by Marv Nation, and it was on an obscure pay-per-view platform. Both of these fighters are accomplished. In the case of Terrence Crawford, he is a no doubt about it Hall of Fame fighter. JBsports is on the road to become a Hall of Fame fighter if he keeps doing what he's done so far through his career. But he's a guy that's, when you look at his age, man, he is 34 years old. When I looked that up a couple of days ago, I was like, damn, I didn't know he was that old. But to me, he's a young 34. He hasn't been in a lot of wars outside of the Josh Taylor fight. He really ain't had a real difficult fight. So I believe he's a young 34. And I believe that Terrence Crawford is a young 35, as he's not been in a lot of wars either. But I've noticed that Terrence Crawford in his last couple of fights does not move around like he did at 140. He sits in the pocket a little bit more. Buddy has had great success fighting that style. He's had 7 straight knockouts. So just like Muhammad Ali, when he was dancing early in his career, but later on in his career, particularly after he came back from that 3.5-year ban by the U.S. government, was not a guy that moved that much. He sat in the pocket a little bit more often. Look at the first Joe Frazier fight. He was in the pocket in that fight. He didn't do a lot of dancing in that fight. And he had great success fighting that style. A lot of people said that he was at his best fighting the other style where he was moving around, you know, great head movement, on his bicycle, jabbing, and controlling distance. He was at his best. That was the best Muhammad Ali that we seen, and the Muhammad Ali seen that's more in the pocket was not the best. But due to getting up in age, he had to smartly switch up his style. With all that being said, we got two fighters that are good fighters. In one case of Crawford, he's a great fighter. And I look at JBsports as I don't put him in the category as a great fighter because he lost to Josh Taylor. If he was a great fighter, he beat Josh Taylor. I think he is a very good fighter with a chance to be a great fighter. But he needs the dance partners to prove that. So we will see what happens and we will see what transpires. But Terrence Crawford and JBsports are two peas in a pod. A lot of people say, some people say that they are the boogeymans of their divisions. Crawford is the boogeyman at 147. And Prograis is a boogeyman at 140. But I don't believe that's the case for either fighter. Crawford has the WBO belt. That is the least prestigious belt in boxing. Manny Pacquiao made that belt. If it weren't for Manny Pacquiao, the WBO would be the same as the NABF belt. It would be in the same category as that belt, a minor league belt. A belt that if you win, that's good, a pat on the back. But it is not the prestigious belt like the WBA, WBC, and IBF. Now the IBF was once upon a time in the same category as the WBO, but guess who made that belt? That was Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes made the IBF belt. He made that belt become prestigious. And Manny Pacquiao has done the same with the WBO. With all that being said, Crawford has the WBO belt, the least prestigious belts in boxing. He has no network behind him. He has no promoter, and he is in a division at 147 where the money man in the division is Errol Spence Jr. He has 3 belts, and he's more accomplished at 147. In Prograis' case, he has the WBC belt, but the other belts are vacant. We have belts at the 140 that are vacant. They don't have a person holding that title, not in the IBF or the WBA or the WBO. Now, those belts will be on the line in 2023, as we have fights that have been announced these past several weeks, which will have a title hold in the WBA and in the IBF. Now, I haven't heard anything on the WBO, what they're doing, but I know that we do have some fights lined up where the WBA belt will be on the line at 140 and the IBF belt will be on line at 140. So JBsports defeated Jose Zepeda a little over a month ago and became the WBC junior welterweight champion. But he has no network behind him. And he's not the money man at 140. The money man at 140 is Josh Taylor. Now, Josh Taylor does have the 140-pound WBO belt. And him and JBsports are the champions at 140, but Josh Taylor has the backing of the UK. He has a fight coming up with Jack Catterall if they ever get that fight off. That's the rematch. That fight has been postponed once again. So it remains to be seen if that fight ever comes to fruition, or if Josh Taylor gets tired of trying to get that fight done and moves up to 147 like he's been saying here recently. So we will see what happens and we will see what transpires. But the biggest fight at 140 is Josh Taylor versus Teofimo Lopez. That's the biggest fight at 140. The second biggest fight at 140 is Teofimo Lopez versus Devin Haney once Devin Haney moves up from 135. And Devin Haney has came out here a couple of days ago and said that he's going to fight Lomachenko at 135 and then he's moving up. And Bob Arum came out here recently and said that he would like Teofimo Lopez to get another fight in at 140. And if Devin Haney defeats Vasily Lomachenko at 140, that Top Rank would like to make that fight at 140. That would be a huge fight. The fight probably would end up on ESPN pay-per-view due to the purse demands that Haney will want and Teofimo will want. So that's a big, big fight at 140 pounds. So I just named two fights at 140 pounds that don't have nothing to do, or that doesn't involve JBsports. And that's the problem. He's not the boogeyman. He's just not the money man. That's the problem. There ain't no boogeyman in boxing. There ain't no boxer scared to fight no boxer. But boxers have teams that look out for their best interests. And in the case of Jerome Bruce Ennis, his team said the best route is to go the IBF route. We'll put ourselves in a position to fight Errol Spence Jr., who is the money man in the division at 147. Or if he moves up to 154, we get elevated from IBF interim welterweight champion to full IBF welterweight champion. And in the case of Virgil Ortiz Jr., his team decided to go the WBA route. They petitioned the WBA to take on regular WBA welterweight champion Amantius Stellonis. If he defeats Stellonis, he'll be in prime position to fight the WBA welterweight champion Errol Spence Jr., who is the money man in the division and has 3 belts. So why would you fight Crawford for 1 belt and get less money when you can fight Errol Spence Jr., who has 3 belts, and you're going to get more money fighting him, and it's a bigger fight. So that's why Ortiz went the WBA route, and that's why Jerron Ennis went the IBF route. Terrence Crawford and JBsports are 2 peas in the pod. One of the best fighters in their division, if not the best fighter in their division. But due to the fact that they have no network and they're not the big player in their division, they're on the outside looking in. So we will see what happens and we will see what transpires. I look for JBsports to fight Sandor Martin next if he takes that fight. If he don't take that fight, I look for him to take on Sergey Lipinets in this next fight. So one of those 2 guys will be next in line for JBsports. He's not going to get the fight with Jose Ramirez, who has a huge following in Fresno, California. But he was not happy with the split. And it goes back to what I said earlier. Prograis is not the money man in the division. 35% for a fight with Prograis is not enough money for Jose Ramirez to take that fight. He's probably making the same money fighting Richard Comey March 25th in Fresno, California. Teofimo Lopez was next in line. He turned down the fight. His father, who is his trainer, said there's no money in the fight with Prograis. So they're looking to take on another opponent at 140 pounds, and they're looking to either get Josh Taylor after that or Devin Haney. Much more lucrative fights than Prograis. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Follow me on Facebook, Gerard.Briscoe.3551. Like, share, and subscribe to JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. And I holla.